Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Web3 Lounge. We're excited to have you here today. We've got some really good sessions lined up this afternoon. And today's 1:30 panel is going to be talking about fandom and Brandom in Web3. So we've got some really great speakers who are doing it, literally, in the sports world. So and the music scene, I should say. So we're welcome back, and we're glad to have you. Got just a couple of quick housekeeping announcements. Want to thank all of our sponsors: Midnight Oil, Passage Labs, Ethos Spatial, Solana Foundation, GenCityLabs, and Nightcap 3D. Also, there's a couple of QR codes that you can scan. One is for the D2 NFT, so stop by this lovely lady right here in the pink. She'll get you set up. And also, we'd invite you to follow D2 on LinkedIn. Our QR code is on the back of our sign over here. And you'll see it around a couple other places as well, so please follow us. And wanted to call out our sponsor today, Solana. They are back here inviting you to learn how to trade with crypto, or pay with crypto, I should say. So stop by and they'll give you a quick 60-second transaction opportunity, and you can walk away with some fun merch. So with that, I'd like to welcome our panel today. And I realize the slide has my picture on it, so the role of moderator is now being played by MK Badowski. So over to you, MK.
Thank you very much. So yeah, my name is MK Badowski. I'm co-founder and head of marketing with GenCityLabs, stepping in happily for today. And with that, we'll pass it to the experts. So I would love if each of you could introduce yourselves and share a little bit about how you got into Web3. Let's establish that credibility that you're true degens deep down.
Am I first?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. My name is Patrick Lowe, head of partnerships for LaLiga, the Spanish soccer league. Been living in New York for about 4.5 years, but was in Madrid before that. I think Web3 started for me about 2018 through Dapper Labs and SoRare. I would say those are kind of the entry point for me. So pass it over.
Cool. Hey everyone, Anubhav Mehrotra. I'm a VP of at Live Nation, lead data products and fandom, fan engagement products there. I live in New York, have been here for about 6-7 years. My start in, I guess, like not technically Web3, but crypto was back in 2011 when I was mining it on a laptop, where I read the Bitcoin white paper and was really fascinated by the concept. Got into ETH after that, and then kept up with the space and degened a little bit during the hype cycle. And yeah, so excited to talk more with the crew over here today.
Awesome. My name is Mike Schaiman. I am CEO of GenCityLabs. We are a creative technology studio that builds brand experiences, typically in the live event space. So lots of sporting events, lots of concerts, lots of trade shows, things like that, using anything from augmented reality, virtual reality, and of course, a lot of Web3. I got started in the space in 2020. Like Patrick, I got involved with Dapper Labs. They released NBA Top Shot, which is a digital basketball card. I started dipping my toe in the water and started collecting some and kind of seeing the excitement that was generated around the ownership of digital assets, which I saw as a real game changer, which I think is going to be pretty foundational to our digital future. So dove in head first and haven't looked back, figured out how to apply the technology and the experiences to brand experiences and as a way to deepen brand relationships with their consumers. So that's what we'll get into a little bit deeper today.
If I did my math correctly, collectively, there's 18 years of blockchain experience up here, which is pretty amazing considering how many people are still very new to this space. So I might jump around a little bit, but for those that are new to this space, there's sometimes barriers and friction and a lot of learning curve to user experiences. Where do you think we are right now in that maturity, and where do you think brands and experiences can be making that easier to onboard fans?
I'll go first because when I onboarded, it was very challenging. You have to get a wallet, and when you have a wallet, you need to have the seed phrase of that wallet. There's the concept of decentralization and blockchain cryptocurrency is there is no centralized authority to help you recover a password. There's no centralized authority that you can call when you have a problem. It's pretty much community based. So really, really massive challenges existed in the early days, and it was really limited to early adopters, visionaries, and curious, tech savvy folks. What we need to do is knock that down and pretty much abstract out all of the challenges that had existed and utilize a formula that people are more familiar with, right? I want to log in with my Gmail, right, which is pretty much or my Facebook, or I want a username and password, and I want to have the comfort of everything that I'm familiar with. And by the way, we've done some work with Solana. If you guys haven't checked it out, I recommend going to Solana because they've done a really good job of that. It's a very quick login. It's 2 clicks, and you can have a wallet. You can be exchanging funds. Super simple. That's the path I think we need to go to be able to have a broader mainstream appeal.
Cool. I mean, from my perspective, we're kind of currently in this journey of finding Web3's product market fit, so to speak, at scale. We've had moments and sparks, and UX and onboarding is definitely part of it, but it's also like, what is the killer app? I think true superpowers of decentralization would be abstracting away kind of walled garden control mechanisms, but still be able to preserve your identity in a easy fashion as you move from experience to experience, digital or physical, and being able to make it truly composable. And that superpower, so to speak, of decentralized blockchains haven't manifested itself in true apps or any use cases. So I think that's the journey that we are on, and lots of tiny pieces need to come together to make that, and hopefully we can all contribute towards making that happen.
I think on my side, it's still the Spanish soccer league, Real Madrid, Barcelona. People watch you for 90 minutes of a soccer game. For us, I think Mike had said it the other day. It's like invisible guardrails for a lot of our fans. And it's how do we get them to, I would say, embrace Web3 and experiences and just more outside of what you traditionally see in soccer. And I think we're seeing it very different from country to country globally. In the US, maybe the adoption has been easier for partnerships and products that we launched. And then in Spain, perhaps not. So it's really just making sure that you can continue to hit fans with what they love, which is soccer and soccer-related materials and experiences, and partnering with the best in the business to make sure that you have top-notch delivery and you can deliver on those experiences.
So a big part of this is creating demand for it. People will overcome some of those barriers if they want it badly enough. I'd love for you to keep going on that a little bit and talk about some of the specific brands, partnership activations, serving these fans that you guys are delivering right now using blockchain.
Sure. So we have Dapper Labs, is our LaLiga Golazos product, which is very similar to Top Shot, taking those moments of archive footage and current footage of maybe like a Messi or Ronaldo's top goal with La Liga, minting that with our intellectual property, and then having fans and consumers kind of collect those moments. But that's really based around moments. So Rare is another great partner of ours, where it's more blockchain fantasy, kind of capturing player profiles and then using them in a preset fantasy kind of mode in blockchain. Panini is our digital card collectibles. So it's, think of your physical cards that you collect as a kid. Went through a big boom in the last couple of years again. But any digital cards, that would be through Panini. And then we have here Green Park Sports, which is more creating a metaverse or an area, an arena for La Liga fans to kind of share experiences. If you're a La Liga fan or a Barcelona fan in the US or in Spain or wherever it may be, you can sign up at Green Park, go in, create your avatar, kind of demonstrate your fandom, share experiences with fans from anywhere in the world, collect tokens, acquire NFTs and collectibles, but really it's just that community and being there to experience La Liga and your club. Game On is a new partnership we have as well. So there's several. I'll stop here, but Game On is a new one where it kind of goes back to what I mentioned first. They're a gaming company first as opposed to Web3, and for us it's a great fit. It's very endemic. It's very natural for our fans. The learning curve isn't so steep for a fan in Spain who purchases a pack of La Liga jerseys in a Web2 interface. If they get the Griezmann jersey and their friend gets the Vinny jersey, they can challenge each other in almost like a battle type idea. So, and then you can collect their digital jersey and your digital closet grows or whatever it is. So it's still very, it's based off fandom. And so it's been fun. We have 4 or 5 of those that I've mentioned, and it's going to continue to grow with our title partnership with EA Sports and others. So.
I love that. That is such a robust ecosystem. And I think the most surprising part to me is how much room there is at the table for each of those partners, and that there is a way to break down the brand to have that many entry points.
When I would say we were starting to develop our Web3 strategy, it was funny. I think I mentioned to you guys before, we had, I think it was 2018 or 19, and we were speaking to a group of colleagues in Spain who have just known soccer their whole life, and they were like, cats, blockchain, like I had 3 heads. So it took a while, but we looked at it, reviewed it as, and it's not that we have this, I would say we looked at it as it can't be one shot. It can't just, there will be several verticals in which we can activate and bring value to fans. And so that was always our focus, was how can we partner with the best in each vertical and make sure we're delivering the best fan experience. And then, that's how we'll keep the fans coming back.
Awesome. So Anubhav, how about with Live Nation? What are some of the specific applications and examples and partnerships that you're activating on these days?
Yeah, so I mean, there are multiple areas I can start with. So for those of you who don't know, Live Nation also owns Ticketmaster. So any ticket that you might have purchased to any sports or music. So we have this very deterministic signal of who is actually attending. So the first thing that, as the ticket became digital, the obvious thing to do there was roll out essentially our version of a virtual commemorative ticket. So if anyone went to the Super Bowl or went to the NBA games, they would have a commemorative ticket as part of the Ticketmaster profile that automatically gets dropped. Now, we haven't done too much beyond that, but starting to lay down the foundational aspects to allow our clients to be able to just tokenize that fandom. And at the end of the day, it goes back to fandom. If a fan is leaned in and they really want that commemorative memorabilia, which we see in hordes, right? 85% of merch is sold on site because the experience of standing in line and buy the merch is like, what people really crave for. How, as we move through this transition phase of digital collectibles being, as understood or as prevalent, how do we create that ecosystem to kind of foundationally seed that? So that's where we started. And then certain leaned in artists, like one artist that comes to mind in Avenged Sevenfold, they're a kind of like a heavy metal band. They have a pretty rabid fan base. They built a community, and they were able to token gate ticket access, essentially. So if you have a certain collectible that allows you to, integration into Ticketmaster, give front of line access to their most ardent fans. So developing that relationship between the artist and fans is becoming more and more important, and different artists are leaning in various capacity. Another example was in our festival ecosystem. So Live Nation owns and operates about 150 plus festivals. So Lollapaloozas of the world, Bonnaroo, etc. The cool part about festivals is that the ticket purchase happens 8 months before, or 8 to 12 months before the festival actually goes on. So now we have this huge amount of time to engage. I call these like tokenized fan journeys, where the experience starts at the time of ticket purchase by a fan, and then through those 8 months, you can engage with them to form a community or take multiple actions, and all of that then manifests on site to give them exclusive access or give them some other perks that enhances that experience even more. So truly connecting with fans to amplify their fandom, and then like integrating brands into the mix. So as an example, we have a partnership with Coinbase. They did for 3 years onboarding. The first year through an NFT gallery that we created on site. The second year was more about an IRL minting experience. You could create your own avatar on site. And then third year was loyalty, or awarding people who actually participated, giving them site stage access to go see big artists like Sabrina Carpenter and others at festivals. So how do you truly engage and show utility, and then show that through engagement, it actually helps you empower? So that becomes kind of like a great way to onboard people and roll them out across the ecosystem.
You used one of my favorite Web3 buzzwords, which is access. I just love it. It encompasses so much, but aligns so well to what people expect when they feel like a VIP to your brand, when they get part of this inner circle, this club, this early adopter culture. Access is probably one of the biggest concepts to dig into to me.
Yeah, I mean, we joke a lot, like, everybody takes a lot of pride in being able to discover artists earlier in their career, right? Like, hey, I saw Taylor Swift when she was doing like little club shows, right? So we call this concept day ones. Like, are you a day one? Were you there? And that itself has clout. So can we operationalize that and make that a thing across the industry, which, helps fans really stand out? So that then leads to access down the road. So totally agreed.
If you guys are acronym collecting, SNAP is a really good one. It's status, network, access, and perks. So if you using that framework for fans and as a way to harness fan passion is a really amazing opportunity because and both of you guys just kind of covered each of them. But that status of the day one. I have been there early, and that's becoming a part of your identity, right? But the way that you can actually establish identity in a digital world, typically, when we're talking about social media, is I'm going to post a picture of where I'm at, me and my friends, my food, or my pets, or whatever that is. This is a new way to help people round out their digital identities, the ownership of digital assets, and the proof, the authentication that they were there at an event or they had this experience. Networking is just, clearly I want to be amongst other people who have similar interests. Access, to MK's point, access is everything. I mean, what Anubhav just said about Avenged Sevenfold and ownership of an NFT ownership of a digital asset that then puts them at the front of the line for tickets, it's a major piece of utility. It's a major benefit, right? And then perks. How do you, if people are in your ecosystem, they're participating, they're using this as a component of digital identity, how do I ensure that I'm continually rewarding those individuals, those super fans, for being a part of that, universe? So that framework is typically what we'll use and what we'll recommend when we work with brand clients in this space. So there's my acronym
Do you have
of
any
the day.
brand clients you want to mention specifically as cases of applications?
Yeah, I mean, one we're doing right now is with Nissan. They are big sponsors of college football. They have the Nissan Heisman House. The shtick is all former Heisman Trophy winners live in a house, and they're all roommates, and they do a lot of funny stuff around that. They're also running a tour around college football stadiums and campuses all over the country. If people attend the IRL event, they actually then get a digital collectible from Nissan, which allows them access to special content. It actually provides them sweepstakes entries for game tickets and other prizes. There are things like access to athletes who are going to do small Zooms of 20 people each, where fans can actually go in and interact with former Heisman Trophy winners. So it's been a really fun campaign. It launched about a month and a half ago with the start of the college football season. It'll run all the way through the college football playoffs. And it's been a really unique and fun driver of fans to go from, I see an activation, I see a brand experience, I'm participating, and now I'm going to actually loop that back out and take it digitally. So it's really a way to extend and deepen the relationship that they have with their consumer base.
That was the perfect segue into the next question, talking a little bit about live events and live fan experiences. We start by talking about laptops that can mine Bitcoin, and this being a very digital experience at home in front of your computer, exploring a metaverse. How does this all tie back to live events and fan experiences? Where are you able to enhance the experience in a way that non-blockchain related activations can't deliver?
So it's actually, Mike hit on a lot of what we're trying to do as well, or what we're doing with current brand partners, where it's, we know usually what our fans like and what they engage with. If we put a sweepstake on Facebook and it's a trip for El Clasico in Madrid, yeah, it'll probably fill up. But how are we taking that to the next level where it's not just a basic sweepstake on social? It's unlocking kind of tiers of different experiences. Current players or legends, where we're building almost like a 90-day build up to El Clasico, which is, for anyone who's not a soccer fan, it's our Super Bowl moment. It happens twice a year where Real Madrid play Barcelona, home and away. And for us, you have this crazy kind of rabid fandom that maybe 90 days out, if you come to our watch party of a Real Madrid match, you'll actually have the opportunity to participate in a Zoom that pops up for 45 minutes with one of the legends, and it's 60 days out and 30 days out. It's kind of a drip campaign where we're unlocking digital experiences through attendance in those real life watch parties, and kind of builds up to that ultimate moment of El Clasico. So, and then it's really how do we work with partners and best in class to convert some of those to Web3 moments and experiences. So it's been fun as a soccer league. I would say I mentioned to the guys earlier too. For us, we are a soccer league, so we can't forget that. So what we really try to do is just find the best to work with in class that will help us kind of convert some of the more traditional assets you see in sports partnerships or engaging with our fans and bring it to the next level. So thank you, by the way, for the NFT Super Bowl ticket.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, live events, right? So my mental model around this is fandom equals time, attention, money. A fan accrues fandom by spending time, attention, and money. And time and attention are two different things, because you can have passive consumption of music, for example, which is very different from active, engaged attention that someone's giving. And the highest fidelity signal of fandom is live events, because you're getting up from your couch, not watching Netflix, going to a place. That place has your 3 hours or 3 days of rapt attention, depending on what event you're going to, and you're paying to have that experience, right? So all three of those signals of fandom, so to speak, accrue into this framework of fandom, and it's every single fan has different fandom scores, and what we really try and do is parse out those signals and then translate that fandom to Brandom as much as we can. And not every fan is the right fit for every brand activation, and super fans are a different beast than kind of like your passive consumers. Your non-present fans are a different type of a relationship with the sport. So we look at that from that lens, but a lot of the high fidelity super fan, high engagement work happens, culminates in real life, and that happens at live events. So
I love this, segmenting and rewarding the super fans based on their engagement, be it social or participating in pre-main event mini events. I love that.
It can be tough with the super fans on our side. I was saying it before, but they get 90 minutes of a soccer game. They don't break. They maybe have a cigarette while they're watching, and that's it. So converting them sometimes can be a challenge, but it's done through the in-person events.
Yeah, I love IRL events as such a key component of fan relationship, of fan activation, because you really do have that moment in time where people are coming together, they're passionate as all get out, they're meeting with other fans who share similar interests, like all of those components of what is a really powerful emotional experience are there for you at that time. What I really see, Web3, the digital experience's ability to capture that moment in time and to extend it, right? To be able to carry that moment and move it forward through the rest of your experiences as a fan throughout an ecosystem is a major opportunity. Like, I love digital components. I love Web3 as a loyalty play, as a way to continually reward people for their participation, as a way to introduce them to other people, and as a way to encourage them to participate even more deeply. Having that blockchain-based permanent record of fandom, not just attendance, but I interacted with a sponsor, I posted something on social media, I connected with other people in the community. Those are some real opportunities that I think we're going to see evolve very significantly over the coming years.
So one of the biggest barriers to being able to do any of these things, anything experimental, anything totally new, is getting C-suite buy-in. And for you guys, I think there's an added layer of, Live Nation and LaLiga internal, as well as your partners and sponsors having to sell it up the chain that, hey, this is how we want to engage with the next festival and things like that. What are your tips for brands and marketing leaders who are trying to experiment in this space, who want to bring it into their organizations?
I can start.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's a interesting one, right? Like, even I'm sure that every big enterprise or even smaller organizations, there's always like a divide and a dichotomy. And on one hand, you can take the approach of, hey, proof is in the pudding, so do a small experiment, see how it goes, show the fandom, show the result, have the right measurement framework around it, and then be able to use that to parlay into larger and larger, bigger experiences. The other thing would be, novelty. A lot of times novelty attracts people. We saw that we were talking about this earlier, where a lot of the metaverse spaces are great. They're still finding their core reason for everyone to keep coming back. And we're starting to see a lot of evolution happen with the Meta Quest 3 and the Apple Vision, etc. The next phase of VR, AR, XR, so to speak. But for now, it's interactive, engaging, super cool experiences, which are great to attract people. And so you have to do something to attract people, and then make enough of a splash that it hits some brand KPI on PR. But then you have to have a community base to back it up, to have people stay there, and that results in more sustainable long-term growth. Right? The way to think about metrics or signals of fandom in one capacity is there's vanity signals and there's affinity signals. Vanity signals are great to get people in, and then affinity signals are important to keep them connected. And how do you design the experiments to actually convince that internally is where the hardest part comes in.
I think for us, fandom comes in many different ways, and I think there are hundreds of thousands of fans in America who probably are LaLiga fans because they play video games leveraging LaLiga clubs or teams or players. So for us at the C-suite, I think there was sticker shock 4 or 5 years ago. Initially bringing this up, as I mentioned, cats and blockchain. They're like, what are you talking about? And I think LaLiga does a great job at now thinking outside the box. 10, 15 years ago, when we looked at, fandom was, okay, put up LED boards and fans will see that, and that's great. It's significantly more, deep than that. So we usually look at things with the lens of, does it add value to our fans? And again, fandom can be demonstrated in many different ways. But undoubtedly, Web3 and the partnerships we're building do add value to fans and LaLiga fans from different clubs. And I think we're seeing that. So for the C-suite, sticker shock is sometimes there, but they're willing to embrace and kind of embark on different avenues and opportunities if they truly believe it adds value to our fans. So.
I'll go with one that's not immediately clear. A lot of brands have struggled, and maybe some of you guys in this room have struggled with it as well, with platform dependency. If you've had major dollars going through Twitter or now X, and then they make some very significant changes, and those are changes you don't necessarily agree with, it takes a lot to pick up and move into another platform, right? And that, you name it, if you are operating within the Meta universe or Google, and I know everybody's here, or Amazon or everybody, right? You're pretty locked into that, to them and their terms of service and what they're doing, what they're allowed to do, which can be a struggle. One of the beauties of Web3 and one of the beauties of blockchain is there really is no platform dependency. It operates outside of any single entity that can control it. It is permanent and it is wide open and transparent. So it does allow a little bit of security. We've certainly had that as a reason that some of the brands that we work with have pursued a Web3 strategy, because it means that you're not necessarily beholden to those large entities as much as you might have been. So, one of the things to think about in the back end.
Awesome. And with that, we're almost at time. Does anyone in the audience have any questions? We have a mic out there. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Great information, by the way. So thank you very much. In terms of, you guys are all major brands, and so regulation is a big issue, and there's not a lot of good defined regulation out there. So how are your companies navigating that, and are you preparing and waiting? Some of the other people I've talked to have said they're at the door and just waiting for somebody else to fall through first. How are you guys viewing that?
Extremely conservatively. Yeah, I mean, regulation definitely has a strong seat at the table of what can we do and when we do it and where we do it and how widely we talk about it. yeah, it's a pretty major thing. I think we've invested a lot in lawyers and making sure that we are doing things which are legal, and then there are various instruments that you can leverage to do things, and that's why partnerships become so important. Where like even on the Live Nation Ticketmaster side, our current partner is Dapper Labs, so the virtual commemorative tickets are distributed through that mechanism, and that becomes a way to ease, I guess, some of the more native flows. But yeah, it's unclear and not always the easiest way to chart, the path forward on.
It's very similar. We were after Top Shot. Golazos came after, so very conservatively, and with a hunger to be close to first to market, but still not jumping the gun, I would say. So.
Any other questions?
Thanks. How you guys doing? Darren Markovitz, IMVU. Question for kind of Live Nation, and you talked a little bit about the status score, if you will. I'm sorry, the fandom score. Can you tell me a little bit about how many different levels you guys have, and is that something that's public, and is it something that's used as a way to kind of boost interaction for the users? Do they try to strive to achieve a different score? How is that used internally and externally?
Yeah, I can talk to you about this for hours, but no, it's at a high level, right? Like we don't have a big data problem. We have a wide data problem. We look at the lens of the fan from the fan journey being discovering a concert or an event they want to go to, planning to go to it after they bought the ticket, and then living it and reliving it. Mm-hmm. And across our distributed ecosystem, there are tons and tons of signals of fandom that we can harness, or over times have made our system sophisticated enough to be able to harness it. So like, how long did you wait in line before you got that ticket? Was it early? Was it last minute? When did you actually enter the venue? What did you buy when you were on site? Did you answer a survey question? Did you complete a marketing thing that we put in front of you, et cetera, et cetera? So we harness those signals of fandom and then abstract it into an ML model that we can then apply on a recurring basis to spit out these fandom scores. And then the fandom scores have different applications across different use cases. So obviously ticket selling, but also brand partnerships when we're working with marketing partners to connect with fans. Different fans have different motivations. So it's almost like a gradient scale. It's not like there are 10 different levels or something. We've internally talked about it, making it public, but that's a long road due to a lot of the legal issues as well. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Great, thanks.
And with that, thank you, gentlemen, very much. I appreciate all your insights. Do you have any parting advice for the audience as they enter their Web3 journeys?
I'd say don't be afraid to dip your toe in the water and experiment. You know, to the point about regulation, to the point about kind of legal concerns. Start early. Everybody that we have been able to work with has gotten this kind of through legal at a very early outset, not like 6 weeks prior to a campaign launch, but like 6 months. So I'd say, start having the conversation. Even if you don't do anything, it's worth talking about. It's a great topic to brainstorm on. It will make you think in different ways because these are really unique and new ways to interact with your consumer base. So yeah, start early.
Yeah, same. And then I guess one thing that I'm keeping a close tab on is just the mix of or like combination of blockchain and AI. Like even as we get into the world of AI generated content, you're starting to see Adobe and other companies putting labels, essentially what is AI generated, and actually the best infrastructure stack to do that at scale is a blockchain. So blockchain is starting to become more and more invisible as an infrastructure tool, and just paying attention to that and how that it's adopted across the industry is interesting.
Don't be afraid to express your fandom in multiple ways. It's more than just a ticket or a shirt or a jersey or something like that. So I think there's a lot out there for people to experience.
Awesome, empowering. Thank you all very much.